What's up, y'all? This is Brave, and I'm back with another review. And baby, Zatima is back. So we are in season 3, episode 11, I believe, and the episode is titled Actions and Consequences. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So we start this episode off with Zach getting arrested for the murder of his brother. Now, what's crazy is that Zach ain't even shocked that the man is dead, okay? He just went on ahead, got the handcuffs put on him, and as the police are taking him away or whatever, you have Deja outside yelling to the top of her lungs because she assumed that the police were coming for Fatima. So she's like, listen, y'all got the wrong person. I called about her. And Fatima's like, I don't got time for this, Deja, whatever. And what's crazy to me is that the police literally looked back at Deja. It was like, ma'am, that was a civil matter. And I'm just like, but was it though? Because you cannot just come in somebody's house and ramshack the place and we gonna act like it didn't happen. Like, I'm sorry, but Fatima, dog, you should have got arrested with your man. Now, as the police decide to take Zachary away, we have Fatima and Deja going back and forth, right? I feel like there were no lines for these ladies to say, or if there were, Tyler, why did you write the same line over and over again? Because why did Fatima only tell Deja, I'm sick of your ish, like 5 times? I'm like, she didn't have no other lines to say. Like, come on now. But nonetheless, she had the audacity to tell Deja that you gotta stop acting like this is the hood. And I get it. Deja does have some hood rat tendencies. But girl, let's not act like you didn't go up in that party and act a fool. Like, Fatima, you went in there and showed your behind. You really did. And on top of that, let's not act like you and Zach don't be having people just pull up to the house out here yelling and doing all kind of stuff outside, because we've seen it. You and Zach argue. We've seen Karen have to pull up to the house. We done seen his boys pull up to the house. We done seen drama ensue left and right. So don't be trying to act like you better than Deja right now. And y'all know, usually Fatima is my girl. But for some reason on Zatima, I'm just like, girl, what is going on? Now, moving on from all of that, we get to Zach, and he is in the, kind of like the interrogation room or whatever. And this officer is, like, questioning him, like, yo, why'd you kill your brother? And what would your mother think? All of this stuff, right? Now, Zach, of course, he's being Mr. Tough Guy, and he ain't showing no remorse, no nothing. And I'm just like, yo, in the grand scheme of things, we all know that Zach does not kill his brother. However, if he did kill Jeremiah, sir, why are you giving off Stone Cold Killer? Like, you are giving off the vibe that you do not care that your brother is dead. That's a little scary. And what's crazy is that I find it so interesting that anytime anybody mentions Zach's mother, that's when he want to get all big and bad in the chest. And it's like, dude, you didn't even like your mama. Your mama didn't like you. Like, I'm not understanding why you are so in an uproar because somebody mentions your mom. Like, I can understand if you actually cared about her, but the way y'all were estranged, you don't even need to be giving all of that energy. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and move on to Miss Belinda and Nate, because he decides to go to her house or whatever, and he looking around talking about that shelf is still on the floor. Negro, do you think she was going to pick it up by herself? First of all. Secondly, it's absolutely crazy to me that Nate has walked into this house and he had this expectation that she would care anything about Jeremiah and how, oh my God, I had to be at the hospital so late. She do not care about that. Belinda cares about her having her rent money back because Jeremiah stole it, okay? He stole her rent money. She needs it so that way she can pay her rent. And therefore, Negro, you're going to have to step up and pay the rent because you the one who decided to bring him over there. I'm sorry. I cannot stand Belinda. But I do agree with her when it comes to this whole situation. Your raggedy ass friends came up in here and tore my house up. Regardless of her calling Zach to tell him that his brother is there or whatever she did, at the end of the day, he had no right to tear her house up the way that he did. No right at all. Moving forward from that, when it comes to Jeremiah shouldn't have stole her money. I don't care what drug he on. Like, you can't just be stealing people's stuff, especially when they're trying to be nice to you. And then what happens? This falls right on Nate because you're the one who dragged him up in my house. So yeah, buddy, you're going to have to go ahead and pay this rent. And then he has the audacity to tell Belinda that she need help. I'm like, she need help, but not for this situation. In this situation, she's right. She need help because she's obsessed with Zach and Fatima. Like, that's a whole nother issue that Miss Mama's got. But what's crazy also to me is that Nate feels like, I guess Belinda should have some type of compassion because Jeremiah is a heroin addict. I'm sorry, but that girl's not gonna have no type of compassion for no drug addict. Cause honestly, I probably wouldn't either, especially one that stole from me. And not my rent money? Oh baby, please. Who cares what happens to him? But he better come up with my dollars, okay? So these two, they get into it, and Nate says that he's going to pay their rent. He's going to figure things out. And I'm just like, I don't know how, because when do you go to work? What is your job? Like, at least with Tony, we see him cutting hair sometimes. But you, Nate, we ain't seen you do nothing. But I digress. Now, y'all, we got to talk about this next scene, because when I tell you I'm confused, I don't understand the energy. Because here's the thing, I understand that Fatima has been stressed out for the past couple of episodes, okay? I understand. She's dating Zach. There's always some drama. However, she's on the phone with the guy from the funeral home, right? The man is basically saying, like, listen, I'm looking for Mr. Taylor so that way I can tell him that everything is set, for his mom's funeral. Now, here's my thing. Baby, it's only been like a few hours. What do you mean everything is set? Did y'all already embalm her? Like, you acting like y'all ready to have this funeral tomorrow. I'm a little confused, sir. I understand if you were calling to say that everything's a go and we're going to get started on your mom. But what y'all done did? Next thing you know, though, he's telling Fatima this, right? And Fatima is like, okay, well, we might have to move the date of the funeral. And the guy was like, yeah, okay, like, I heard that, but, like, just so you know, it's going to cost, more money. Which is understanding, because if you already have one idea set in stone, you may have a lot of people, that died or something. So I get all of this. I understand why he said that it may cost more money. What I'm not understanding is Fatima's energy. Like, when she tells him, I don't have time for this BS, and how she doesn't have time for his games. And I'm just like, but I don't think that he's actually playing games with y'all. Like, this man is legit trying to do his job. Like, I get it, Fatima, you got a lot of pressure on you, but this is the one time where I really don't think this man is trying to play games with you. Like, I understand that a lot of times when it comes to funerals, it does seem like everything has its own little cost, but the man is bringing up valuable points. Girl, how long you want us to hold this body? Okay? Like, we can't just keep her on ice over here just because you and Zach trying to figure things out. Like, what's going on? So he tells her, listen, call me back when you got a better attitude. Cool. Next thing you know, Angela walks in. And I'm just like, now what is Angela gonna do besides sit there and look fine? Like, I get it. That's our girl. And she always shows up for Fatima. But at the same time, it's just kind of like Angela is just always readily available to drop everything and come to Fatima's side. But basically, they talk about the fact that he's in custody because he beat his brother to death. So, of course, Fatima is feeling extremely overwhelmed. The thing about Fatima's character that I kind of wish that they would lean more into is her actual emotions, because I feel like we may see Fatima be serious and she'll say how, she's fed up or this, that, another. But I really feel like Fatima's character needs a good cry, okay? Like, I know that she has been built up to be very strong and all the things, but it's like there's only so much weight that a person can carry. Like, be so serious. Especially when we're watching Zatima. So she's like, I told him that I wouldn't come see him or, try to get involved if something were to really go down like this. And look at me right now. I'm sitting up here trying to see him and I can't even get back there because, this is like a criminal case. And Angela's like, well, maybe you could call somebody at the firm. Nope, can't do that because none of them are criminal lawyers. So Miss Mama's is stuck, okay? She don't know what to do. She wants to support Zach, but at the same time, she's mad at Zach. And like I said, I would love for her to show more emotion. So Angela, she hits her with, well, there's also something else. So Angela ends up telling Fatima about the video that has been going around so everyone can see what Zach has done to his brother. So, of course, this is another added layer of stress for Fatima, and she has no idea what to do at this point. Because there's no way for her to help this situation. And she did raise a question of why didn't he just listen? Because Zach is hard-headed, okay? Zach thinks he knows everything. And Zach, everybody told him what the consequences would be, and he did not care. Moving on. Alright, so next we get this scene with Preston. He is going to the office to see Bryce. Well, he's there to see Zach, but Zach isn't there. So at this point, he's kind of pissed off because at the end of the day, they were all supposed to sign contracts. Now, the only person who hasn't signed is Zach. He's MIA. People have been calling him, texting him, trying to get in touch with him, but unfortunately, they don't know that this man has been arrested. So at this point, Preston is like, listen, he can't keep running off and doing whatever and not responding to us. I'm going to go ahead and head over there. So I guess he's going to head back over to Zach's home, right? So what's crazy is that Preston has been back and forth between Zach's office and Zach's home for every scene that we've seen him. And at this point, I'm just kind of like, dude, you can't wait around all day waiting on Zachary Taylor. Like, that's kind of crazy. And then we have Bryce saying, oh, do you want me to come with you to Zach's house? And, of course, Preston is like, no, because that's just going to make matters worse because Zach don't like Bryce. But also, it's just kind of sad because I'm just like, yo, I understand Bryce, he did the thing with the money and all that. But, the way he be mistreated, it's kind of sad because it's like nobody wants to be around him. So next we see Preston go over to Zach's house. Of course, nobody's there. However, Deja comes outside and gives him the 411 about how Zach killed somebody by the name of Jeremiah and he got arrested. So, of course, Preston is like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's his brother. And Deja was like, oh, I didn't know that he killed his brother. That's crazy or whatever. Now, what I was shocked by is the fact that Deja went back into the house. Because we have seen her flirt with Preston so many times. And there was no flirting in this scene, which I found to be interesting. But then Preston, he decides that when he gets back to his car, he's going to call Fatima. And I'm just like, wait a second. So you didn't think to call her at any point? Until right now? You could have skipped over popping up at their house and just called Fatima. Now, I must say, Preston, you kind of got on my nerves because when he decided to call Fatima, he's telling her what happened with Zach. Because she answers the phone and he's like, Zach, he killed his brother? And it's like, Yeah, supposedly. But why are you on the line, buddy? So now he's asking her, oh, well, what, jail is he at? Will they let me see him? And she distinctively said, I'm working on trying to get a lawyer so that way I can even go back there and see him. I haven't seen him yet. And he asked the question again, so can I see him? Do you think you can go back there and see him because you white, Preston? And you about to use your white privilege to get back there to see this black man? I don't understand what's happening here. Like, this is the one time where I'm just like, Fatima's right. Let her handle it, please. Because I don't think you have connections at the jailhouse. So next thing you know, we get this unnecessary scene between Angela and Fatima. They're basically sitting in the same spots that they've been sitting in for I don't know how long. And Bryce ends up calling Angela, but she doesn't answer. She tells Fatima that, right now she's with her, so she's not worried about Bryce. She'll talk to him later. Here's my thing. I don't want them to try to make Angela and Bryce a thing anymore. We need to go ahead and wrap that right on up. They don't even really need to be friends. I'm just gonna be honest, because it's something that I don't need. But we gonna go ahead and move on from that. So we actually see Nate. He goes to see Tony at Tony's job, and Tony's like, listen, I've been hitting you up. But Nate was like, oh, I was spent all my time at the hospital with Jeremiah. And Tony was like, I know you lying. How long did you actually spend over there? And that man said 45 minutes because he could not see Jeremiah in the hospital like that. First of all, you were just sitting in the waiting room. So you didn't see him like anything. And you just sat up there and told Belinda that you were at the hospital all night. So the real question is, Negro, where did you go? Did you go back to your wife to go get some sleep? Like, what's going on here? Because you don't have your own place. So where have you been, buddy? Like, were you sleeping in your car? Because I'm just a little confused. But then he goes on to ask Tony if he can crash on the couch. Because at the end of the day, he already know he ain't gonna be able to stay with Belinda. Like, dude, you need to go ahead and get your life together, for real. So then, as they're having this conversation, right, they're like, oh, well, what happened with Connie? And Nate's like, oh, yeah, she stayed at the hospital all night, but right now, she at home because she went and got some sleep. She was tired. And here goes Tony like, oh, yeah, she's been tired a lot lately. And I said, has she? Because we done seen her be running around the hood with y'all two idiots a lot lately. When was she tired? But nonetheless, Mr. Tyrone come up in there and he shows him the video of Zach fighting his brother. And he's like, yeah, it's kind of crazy because, he gonna be in jail for a long time. And they're like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, first of all, got this video. And also because he's in jail for murder right now. And these two don't know anything about it. All right, so we're going to slide on over to the next scene because this woman walks in to the interrogation room. And Zach is like, girl, who are you? And she's like, oh, I'm your lawyer. Just to let you know, I'm not a criminal lawyer, but Fatima sent me to you. And he's like, oh, is she out there? So as fast as Miss Mama's got up in there, she done had to walk the hell out the door so that she could go get Fatima. And I'm like, sir, you might want to talk to this woman briefly so that way she know what the hell is going on. So Fatima comes in and the lawyer, she says again that, she is not a criminal lawyer, but what she can do is get on the phone and make some phone calls to see if she can get somebody to come in and come look at this case or whatever. And here goes Zach talking about oh yeah, all I need is one juror. Yeah, you may only need one juror to say that he didn't do this, but it's like, dude, there's video evidence, okay, of you beating your brother. And at the end of the day, like, Zach, you really gotta change your mindset and grow up. So then we have Fatima saying, don't worry, because we're not even about to go to trial. So Miss Lawyer Lady, she walk outside or whatever, and I feel like Zach is still not getting it. Because Fatima is like, why did you do that? Like, does that make you feel better? And It's like this man has no remorse. He does not care that his brother is dead, supposedly. He does not care that he's the one who just beat his brother's ass to a bloody pulp. Like, it's kind of crazy and it's kind of scary because I get it, Zach. This man put hands on Zatima, but this right here was a complete overload of how you were feeling for decades upon decades. This has been built up in you for a very long time. And the fact that you're showing no remorse, that's kind of scary. So at this point, Zach is going on and on about how he had to protect his family and Jeremiah should never done that to Fatima. And she's like, well, you just threw everything away that you promised me because, nigga, you gonna be in jail for the rest of your life, okay? That's what I really wanted her to say. Like, nigga, you gonna be in jail for forever. But no, she's trying to explain to him in a calm manner that, you know, he threw everything away and how, you know, she didn't need his protection in that situation from Jeremiah. Like, she was okay. She was fine. The baby was okay. Zach just used that as an excuse so that way he could go attack his brother, if you ask me. So at this point, you know, Zach is like, oh, Fatima, you're mad or whatever. And she's like, yeah, I am mad because you let this get out of hand and you threw our whole relationship away because you will probably be in jail for life. And here's the thing. I completely understand where Fatima is coming from when she's, you know, saying she's upset because he threw it all away. But here's the thing. Zach was on a rampage for hours and hours and hours, okay? To the point where nobody could get through to him. Nobody could talk to him. He was just pissed off and angry. And I get it. This is coming off the tails of his, you know, his mother dying. But the way Zach has acted a plumb fool and nobody has been able to help him and like reel him back into reality, girl, you need to run. Like, at this point, with how far Zach has gone, I don't even want them together. I really don't. And what's even more annoying about this is that when we watch Zatima versus when we watch Sisters, when I tell you it's a whole nother Zachary Taylor, don't know who this man is versus the guy that we get on Sisters. Okay? And it's just like, I understand that these two shows are on different timelines, but I'm just like, so when do we get to meet that version of Zach? Because it damn sure ain't this one. Now, back to the show, Zach is over here trying to put on the waterworks with fucking tears and shit, talking about how, you know, he didn't know what he was supposed to do. What was I supposed to do, Fatima? And Fatima was like, not that. Like, you weren't supposed to fucking attack your brother to the point where he done died. And at this point, she's like, you know what? I put up with so much of your shit. I'm done. Like, I'm not doing this or whatever. And he's like, well, what does that mean, Fatima? And she's like, I'm not doing this. So she ends up getting her stuff and walking out. All right, so Fatima, she makes her dramatic exit because I promise you, I was like, girl, if you don't open up that door, it took her forever to open that damn door so she could walk out. She makes her exit, basically telling him that, like, I can't do this. And he's like, so what does that mean? And she's like, well, I have to focus on me and this baby. And he's like, well, that's our baby. And she's like, well, you should have thought about that. I said, yeah, that's pretty true. Because at no point does Zach ever put into perspective that, yeah, Fatima has a baby on the way. He only used that as a reason to try to fight Jeremiah. So Fatima, she walks out the door, closes it. She's on the verge of tears, and he in there crying and sobbing because his whole life done fell apart. And y'all, that was the episode. Let me know what y'all thought about it. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to y'all in my next review. Bye, guys.